Okay, let's dive in. If you're a golf fan, you've probably got 2025 firmly marked down.
Definitely.
Why? Well, the U.S. Open is heading back to a place that's, well, it's more than just a golf course. It feels like a test, a crucible.
You're absolutely right. The U.S. Open returns to Oakmont Country Club just outside Pittsburgh. That's June 12th through the 15th, 2025. And yeah, it's a name synonymous with golf's toughest examination.
And thinking about that incredible finish we just saw, Bryson DeChambeau, Rory McIlroy, just pure drama.
Electrifying stuff.
It immediately makes you think, okay, how does that level of pressure, that skill, translate to Oakmont? It's a different beast, isn't it?
Completely. Can Bryson do it again there?
Yeah.
Or will Oakmont demand a different kind of champion?
That's the question, isn't it? And Oakmont, it just seems to specialize in that kind of high-stakes drama. It's where the best players confront a course designed, really, to find any little flaw.
Precisely.
Which is why we're doing this. We've got this great source material from you, the listener, all about Oakmont. Its history, the thinking behind it, the holes themselves.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff.
So our mission here is to unpack all of this, to really get why Oakmont has this legendary status, what makes it so brutally hard. And based on these sources, what should we be looking out for in 2025?
Well, the first thing that just leaps out from the sources is that Oakmont's difficulty. It wasn't some accident. It was the whole point right from the very start.
Okay.
HTC Fownes, a Pittsburgh industrialist, he designed it back in 1904. And his goal explicitly was to make it difficult, like the iron coming out of his factories, tough.
Right, tough like iron. But then his son, W.C. Fownes, he ramped it up.
Oh, yeah. The sources say W.C. transformed it from iron to steel. He really doubled down.
How'd he do that? Steel sounds even worse.
Well, through some pretty direct methods, he added literally hundreds of bunkers. And he dug what the material calls pernicious ditches.
Pernicious ditches? That just sounds mean, doesn't it? Intentionally nasty.
Well, I think that was the idea.
And the bunkers. They aren't just sand traps, are they? The sources talk about them being groomed with 100 Houndby forward rates. What does that even mean? It sounds painful.
It's an older term, probably referring to heavy, maybe 100-pound forward-moving machines or rollers they used. The effect was to pack the sand down, make it super firm.
So hard to get the club under it.
Exactly. The sources say it leaves players feeling bruised in the soft Allegheny River sand. The whole point was punishment. If you're in there, recovery is going to be tough. It fits the philosophy.
And that philosophy, it seems the sources really hammer home that Oakmont, more than anything, is defined and defended by its greens.
Absolutely. Forget the bunkers for a second. The greens are the heart of the challenge. They are legendary. Long considered the fastest in golf.
How fast are we talking?
The material calls them slicker than polished glass.
Wow. Polished glass. And it's not just speed, right? It's how they move.
Not just simple breaks, no. The sources say putts here, they don't just break. They fly, they drift, trickle, streak. It's the combination of that insane speed with serious slope. And often, the slope is tilted away from the line of play. That combo. The sources call it unmatched.
There's that amazing anecdote in the material about W.C. Fownes testing them.
Oh, yeah, the second green story.
He'd stand at the back, drop a ball.
Right. Back left corner, drops a ball, tells the crew, keep rolling it until it goes all the way off the front. If it stopped anywhere on the green, not fast enough, roll it again.
That's intense. It perfectly shows his core idea, doesn't it?
It really does. His guiding principle, stated right in the sources, a shot poorly played should be a shot irrevocably lost. Simple as that.
Crime and punishment.
Exactly. Golf's version. Everything served that. The ditches, the bunkers, over 300 at one point. Can you imagine?
300 bunkers? Good grief.
And those lightning-fast, complicated greens, all designed for that one purpose. Punish the mistake.
That philosophy even led to him, changing the course mid-tournament. The story about the 1951 PGA.
Ah, yes. The seventh hole.
Yeah.
Classic W.C. Fownes. Apparently, he heard Steve Snead was finding this perfect spot with his drive on 7.
So what did he do?
Told the crew to go out overnight and build a bunker. Right there.
No way, overnight.
Overnight. Next day, Snead hits his perfect drive. Right into the brand new bunker. Brutal, but pure Oakmont. Punishing a good shot if it wasn't the right shot, according to Fownes.
Incredible. Now, Oakmont hasn't always looked like it does now, this stark, open kind of landscape. The sources mention trees.
Yeah, in the 60s and 70s, there were tree planting programs. They changed the look quite a bit. Became more like an arboretum, as the sources put it.
Just less like the original vision.
Definitely different. More parkland, less linksy. But then in the 90s, things started to change back.
How so?
A group of committee members, really dedicated to the original Fownes vision, started what the material calls a secret tree removal program.
Secret, like sneaking out at night.
The sources say sometimes under cover of darkness, clearing out specific areas to try and restore that open feel.
And I bet that went over well.
Apparently not smoothly. The sources say a battle erupted over the trees within the membership.
But the committee stuck with it.
They held firm. And by 2005, the transformation was pretty much complete, back to something much closer to the original look.
And the results were significant.
Profound, according to the sources. Visually, strategically, it brought back the wind, the angles, and interestingly, Oakmont's success became a catalyst. Other old clubs saw what happened and started their own tree removal programs.
That's fascinating. Oakmont leading the way by essentially going back in time. You can see the difference on holes like the 10th, right?
Yeah, the par 4 10th, taking out trees there really uncovered the interesting contour, that sort of rolling links-like fairway. It brought back the ground game element Fownes intended.
Okay, let's maybe walk through some of these holes. The sources give some great details, starting right at number 1.
The first, infamous opener. Not super long, maybe 350 yards on the card, but deceptive.
How so?
The fairway drops away quite a bit, down towards a green that slopes severely away from you. Shots hit into it just rarely settle close.
Especially the front pins. The source calls them especially diabolical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It says members sometimes even putt from 50 yards out just to control the speed and avoid rolling off the front. The key is simple, though. Hit the fairway, miss it, and, well, crime and punishment kicks in immediately.
We saw that in '07. Aaron Baddeley had the lead playing with Tiger.
Triple bogey on the first. Lead gone. Just like that. Oakmont doesn't wait.
Okay, then you cross the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Hole number 2, par 4.
Right. Tee shot here gives you options. You can play short, safer, between a ditch and bunkers, or you can be aggressive, try and carry the bunkers.
And the green.
It's shallow, and the source says it's one of the most pitched on the course. Remember that W.C. Fownes story, rolling the ball off a front?
That was this green, number 2.
That was the one. Tells you everything about its slope.
And then number 3, maybe the most famous hazard in golf.
Gotta be the church pews. Absolutely iconic. That huge bunker complex dividing the 3rd and 4th fairways with those 12 long grassy mounds like pews.
Unmistakable.
It is. But interestingly, the sources make a point. Hitting into the other bunkers, the smaller, deeper ones on the right side slope, that's often the bigger sin.
Really? Worse than the pews.
Apparently so. More penal. The green on 3 is tricky too. Up on a knob, false front rejects shots, and a steep backslope kicks balls down into a chipping area.
And this hole cost Tiger in '07?
The sources pinpoint his double bogey here in the final round as the key moment. Lost by 1 to Cabrera. One mistake on an Oakmont green.
Irrevocably lost. Got
Yeah,
it. Okay,
yeah.
if you survive the pews on 3, you get more pews.
Another service, as the source puts it, down the left side of the par 5 4th. Elevated tee, fairway bends right, down to a low green.
And going for it in 2 is tricky.
For the long hitters, yeah. It's a partially blind shot over these high, rigid bunkers about 100 yards short. But number 4 also gave us that amazing Larry Nelson story from '83.
Right, he was way over par here.
7 over through 4 holes in the 3rd round. Looked totally done. Then he plays the next 14 holes in 7 under par, shoots 67 on Sunday, and beats Tom Watson by a shot. Incredible turnaround after this hole mauled him.
Shows it's never over, even in Oakmont. Okay, number 5. Blind drive.
One of several. Aim at the white post. Need to avoid bunkers angling in from the left. The green's beyond some grassy ditches, and the sources say it has some of Oakmont's most deceptive contours.
This was the Dustin Johnson hole in 2016, right? The ball moving thing.
Yeah. That bizarre ruling, his ball shifted slightly on the green, delayed 1-shot penalty after the round. Very controversial.
Huh.
And this is the green. Sam Snead joked about his ball marker sliding off.
Tells you something. And the sources mention some wild old green prep methods here, too.
Yeah, like using quarter-ton barrels to roll them, and even cutting a 6-foot circle around the hole lower than the rest for extra speed. Just wow. Imagine putting on that.
Crazy. Okay, number 6. Part 3. Looks pretty.
Gorgeous hole, yeah. Along the hillside, about 195 yards. Seems kind of harmless.
But it's not.
Definitely not. The sources warn you. The slopes and movements on this green are mystifying. Played totally differently depending on the pin. And the golden rule. Likely dead if you're above the hole.
Pure crime and punishment again. A seemingly okay shot, just slightly wrong on pace or line, and you're gone.
That's the essence of it. The number 7, par 4. More bunkers, squeezing the fairway. squeezing the fairway surrounding a 3-level green. This is the Steve Snead bunker hole, remember, when WC built one overnight.
Right, right. Okay, number 8, another par 3 this one's famous for. Johnny Miller.
Yep. The only hole Johnny Miller bogeyed in his final round 63 back in the 73 Open.
How'd he bogeyed it?
3-putted from 20 feet straight uphill. As Miller said, not the kind of putt you 3-putt at Oakmont. Even on maybe the best putting round ever in a major, Oakmont found a way.
Amazing. And Tiger hit a great shot here, too.
Yeah, fun little story in the sources. Tiger hit it stiff one day, got teased about it, then apparently did the exact same thing the next day.
Nice. All right. Hole 9, back across the turnpike, uphill towards the clubhouse. It's a par 4 for the Open.
Long par 4 for the championship, yeah. Par 5 for members. There's a hidden drainage ditch left to watch out for.
But the real story is the green.
Oh, the green. The sources call it the most unique in golf. It's massive. A 23,000 square foot multi-level Leviathan.
23,000 square feet.
Huge.
Yeah.
Cut with these several deep channels.
Yeah.
And it doubles as the practice green.
Wait, the actual 9th green is also the practice green?
That's what the sources say. They tell a story about practice balls constantly rolling down the slopes and channels right towards groups trying to putt out on the actual 9th green. It just captures the sheer scale and craziness of that surface.
Unbelievable. Okay, number 10. Plays down the slope, opposite 9.
Right. This is where, as we said, removing the trees really brought back that rolling links-like fairway character. Oakmont was built on naturally tilted farmland, kind of like an inland links, and you feel it here.
And this hole has caused some pain, Tom Watson.
Twice. Initiated his downfall, you could say. 78 PGA had a big lead, made double bogey here. Then 83 had a cushion, bogeyed the 10th, opened the door for Nelson. There's also a ditch cutting across the fairway. Demands accuracy.
Then 11, short par 4, uphill.
Yeah, shortish uphill. Green looks like it's just perched over this gaping front bunker. The sources note the edges have expanded a bit over time, but the fundamental contours have never been changed.
And this leads to that question in the sources. Luck or genius?
Exactly. How did these greens get so brilliantly diabolical? Was it pure Fownes genius or some happy accidents of the land? The conclusion, undoubtedly, it's a little of both. Some of it feels almost accidental, yet it works perfectly for difficulty.
Interesting thought. Then number 12, a majestic par 5.
Absolutely. Yeah. Broad 600 yards, just unfolds beautifully. Downhill drive, but the four-way slopes hard left to right.
Pushing balls where?
Down low right, towards bunkers and another drainage ditch. The sources call it ingenious design because it forces you to constantly try and tack to the high side, play up the left off the tee to stay safe.
And if you manage that,
you get a clear look for your approach into this gorgeous green. It's got zero entry grain, meaning the grass doesn't resist the ball rolling onto it, making it feel even quicker.
speed again. It really is constant. And that's saying Oakmont has to slow down its greens for majors.
Yeah, it's often repeated. Maybe not literally the only course, but the sources confirm in dry weather they can get to 15, even 16 on the stip meter. That's really fast.
Yeah.
Too fast even for the USGA.
Wow. And another thing about consistency, the fairways?
The sources mention that once the mowing lines for the fairways are set, they just don't change them. They are what they are. It contributes to that feeling that Oakmont is always ready. Could host an Open on 2 weeks' notice, they say. Just grow the rough.
Always ready to punish. Okay, climbing back up the hill. 13, par 4. Pivotal in 62.
Very. Green has a big high shoulder coming onto it from the right. Palmer made 3 here in the final round to tie Nicklaus. But the next day in the playoff, he 3-putted this green for bogey, gave Jack the breathing room he needed for that first major win.
Incredible pressure moments. 14, another par 4. Looks like trouble left.
Yeah, rough and sand left really tempts you to bail out right off the tee.
But that's a trap.
According to the sources, aiming right is actually the even more perilous line. Why? Because there are 5 unseen bunkers with high faces hidden over there.
Unseen.
From the tee, yeah. Find one of those and you have almost no chance of reaching the green, which itself sits up high like a dance floor rising above in nested bunkers. Classic visual deception leading to punishment.
15. Dan Jenkins called it the best 15th in America. Palmer's favorite.
That's the one. Par 4.
Yeah.
You've got the piano keys, those high mounds left, pushing your tee shot towards trouble low right.
Leaving a long approach.
Usually, yeah. Over the corner to this enormous green side. And enormous is right. The source says it's over 60 paces from front to back.
60 paces. That's huge.
With a big swale in the middle. Palmer apparently estimated it was 100 yards deep from one side to the other.
He said putting there was a job for?
A master surgeon, which Palmer admitted he wasn't in 62. The stats tell the story. Palmer had 10 three-putts in 90 holes that week. Jack had one. That's the difference Oakmont's greens make.
Wow. 16 par 4. More history here. Hogan and Snead.
53 open. Hogan made a clutch par putt from 25 feet on this green, followed it with 2 more threes, run the championship. Then in 83, Larry Nelson again. Hit his tee shot way left, maybe 60 feet away.
And he made the putt.
Drained the curling putt for par. That gave him the one-shot lead over Watson heading to 17. Huge moment.
Which brings us to 17, the wicked little hole.
Yeah.
Drivable par 4.
Yep. Around 310 yards, maybe less depending on the tee. Looks tempting, but, oh, the danger. Tiny green on a ridge falls off everywhere into deep bunkers, especially the big mouth bunker front right.
So going for it is a massive gamble.
The ultimate gamble. The sources say it's the decision upon which many dreams have crashed. They mentioned Till Rogers in 62. Went for it, ball stuck in a tree, made 8, missed the playoff by 2.
Ouch. And Furyk in 07.
Jim Furyk, tied for the lead on 17T. Went for it, missed left, took 2 more shots just to get on the green, made bogey, finished second by 1 shot. That decision, costly.
Brutal risk-reward. Okay, finally, 18, the finisher.
And it's a monstrous par 4, close to 480 yards, plays downhill off the tee to an offset fairway, then steeply back uphill to the green.
Which is described as?
A sculptural masterpiece.
Yeah.
Really is a stunning finishing green complex.
Can you make a big number here?
Well, absolutely. Miss the fairway, miss the green, you can rack up shots quickly, but often it's been more of a coronation hole.
Because leaders have a cushion.
Yeah, Hogan, Palmer, Paula Creamer, Dustin Johnson. Many champions have walked up 18 with a lead, able to enjoy the moment.
But there's still that quirky story from the 62 playoff.
Huh, yeah. Jack had a 2-shot lead. Palmer misses his bogey putt, concedes the hole, picks up Jack's marker, assumes it's over.
But it wasn't.
The USGA official, Joe Dye, realizes Jack hadn't actually holed his final putt, so they had to make Jack come back from near the scoring tent, replace his mark, and physically sink the short par putt to make it official. Even in victory, Oakmont makes you finish the job properly.
What a story. So, pulling all this together from the source material, it's just crystal clear that Oakmont Country Club is truly unique, like an architectural original.
It absolutely is. And after 120 years, the sources emphasize it's lost little of its mystique and none of its steel. It still feels utterly true to that original Fownes vision.
There really is still nothing else quite like it in the world of golf. So thinking about everything we've covered, the history, that unwavering crime and punishment philosophy, the specific challenges hole by hole, what really stands out most vividly to you about Oakmont, and maybe the legends who've conquered it or been conquered by it.
And maybe for you listening, given Oakmont's relentless commitment to that core idea that a poorly played shot is irrevocably lost and its history of testing the absolute best, what does this incredibly unique, enduring approach tell us about what the true fundamental test of golf really is?